The biggest surprise was how quickly I adopted. With the first week of locking myself out of social media, I realized that I didn't need to check it nearly as often as I had been. I certainly didn't need it each day. It had simply been so easy that it had become the default. Once my bad habit becomes impossible, I discovered that I did actually have the motivation to work on more meaningful tasks. After I removed the mental candy from my environment, it became much easier to eat the healthy stuff. When working in your favor, automation can make your good habits inevitable and your bad habits impossible. It is the ultimate way to lock in future behavior rather than relying on willpower in the moment. By utilizing commitment devices, strategic one-time decision, and technology, you can create an environment of inevitability, a space where good habits are not just an outcome you hope for, but an outcome that is virtually guaranteed. Chapter summary. The inversion of third law of behavior change is make it difficult. A commitment device is the choice you make in the present that locks in better behavior in the future. The ultimate way to look in future behavior is to automate your habit. One-time choices like buying a better mattress or enrolling in an automatic saving plan are single action that automate your future habits and delivers increasing return over time. Using technology to automate your habit is the best reliable and effective way to guarantee the right behavior. How to create a good habit. The first law, make it obvious. 1.1, fill out the habits score card. Write down your current habit to become aware of them. 1.2, use implementation intention. I will behavior at time and location. 1.3, use habit stacking. After current habit, I will new habit. 1.4, design your environment. Make the cues of good habit obvious and visible. The second law, make it attractive. 2.1, use temptation bundling pair an action you want to do with an action you need to do. 2.2, join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. 2.3, create a motivation ritual. Do something you enjoy immediately before a difficult habit. The third law, make it easy. 3.1, reduce friction, decrease the number of steps between you and your good habits. 3.2, prime the environment, prepare your environment to make future action easier. 3.3, master the decisive movement, optimize the small choices that delivers the outsized impact. 3.4, use the 2-minute rule, downscale your habit until they can be done in 2 minutes or less. 3.5, automate your habit, invest in technology and one-time purchases that lock in future behavior. The fourth law, make it satisfying. How to break a bad habit. Inversion of a first law, make it invisible. 1.5, reduce exposure, remove the cues of your bad habit from your environment. Inversion of second habit, inversion of second law, make it unattractive. 2.4, reframe your mindset, highlight the benefits of avoiding your bad habits. Inversion of third law, make it difficult. 3.6, increase friction, increase the number of steps between you and your bad habits. 3.7, use a commitment device, restrict your future choices to the ones that benefits you. Inversion of fourth law, make it unsatisfying. The fourth law, make it satisfying. The cardinal rule of behavioral change. In the late 1990s, a public health worker named Stephen Lupi left his hometown of Omaha, Nebraska, and bought a one-way ticket to Karachi, Pakistan. Karachi was one of the most populous cities in the world. By 1998, over 9 million people call it home. It was the economic center of Pakistan and a transportation hub with some of the most active airports and seaports in the region. In the commercial part of town, you could find all of the standard urban amenities and bustling downtown streets, but Karachi was also one of the least livable city in the world. Over 60% of the Karachi residents live in squatter settlement and slums. These densely packed neighborhoods were filled with makeshift houses cobbled together from old boards, cinder blocks, and other discarded materials. There were no waste removal system, no electricity grids, no clean water supply. When dry, the streets were a combination of dust and trash. When wet, they become a muddy pit of sewage. Mosquito colonies thrive in pools of stagnant water, and children played among the garbage. The unsanity, the unsanitary condition lead to widespread illness and disease. Commitment to water sources cause epidemic of diarrhea, vomiting, and abdominal pain. Nearly one third of the children living there were malnourished. With so many people cramped into such a small space, viruses, bacterial infections spread rapidly. It was the public health crisis that had brought Stephen Luby to Pakistan. Luby and his team realized that it is an environment with poor sanitation. The simple habit of washing your hand could make a real difference in the health of the resident. But they soon discovered that many people were already aware that hand washing was important. And yet, despite this knowledge, many residents were washing their hands in a haphazard fashion. Some people would just run their hands under the water quickly, others would only wash one hand. Many would simply forget to wash their hands before preparing food. Everyone said hand washing was important, but few people made a habit out of it. The problem wasn't knowledge, the problem was consistency. That was when Luby and his team partnered, partnered with Protect Procter and Gamble to supply the neighborhood with Safeguard soap. Compared to your standard bar of soap, using Safeguard was a more enjoyable experience. In Pakistan, Safeguard was a premium soap. Luby told me the study participated commonly mentioned how much they like it. The soap formed easily, and people were able to lather their hands with sub. It smelled great instantly. Hand washing becomes slightly more pleasurable. I see the goal of hand washing promotion not as behavioral change but as a habit adoption. Luby said it is a lot easier for people to adopt a product that provides a strong positive sensory signal. For example, the main taste of toothpaste that it is to adopt a habit that does not provide pleasurable sensory feedback, like flossy one teeth. The marketing team at Protector and Gamble talk about trying to create a positive hand washing experience. Within months, the researchers saw a rapid shift in the health of children in the neighborhood. The rate of diarrhea fell by 52%, pneu- pneumonia by 48%, and impetigo, a bacterial skin infection, by 35%. The long-term effects were even better. We went back to some of the household in Karachi 6 years after. Luby told me over 95% of the household who had been given the soap for free and encouraged to wash their hands had a hand washing station with the soap and water available. When our study team visited, we had not given any soap to the intervention group for over 5 years, but during the trial, they had become so habit, habit, habituated to wash their hands that they had maintained the practice. It was a powerful example of the fourth and final law of behavior change. Make it satisfying. We are more likely to repeat a behavior when the experience is satisfying. This is entirely logical. Feelings of pressure, even minor ones like washing your hands with soap, with it smells nice, and later, well, are signal that tells the brain this feels good. Do this again. Next time, pleasure teaches your brain that a behavior is worth remembering and repeating. Take the story of chewing gum. Chewing gum had been sold commercially throughout the 18s, but it wasn't until Brinkley launched in 1891 that it became a worldwide habit. Early versions were made from relatively blunt resin, chewy but not tasty. Brinkley Brinkley revolutionized the industry by adding flavors like spearmint and juicy fruit, which made the product flavorful and fun to use. Then they went a step further and began pushing chewing gum as a pathway to a clean mouth. Advertisement told readers to refresh your taste. Tasty flavors and the feeling of a fresh mouth provided little bits of immediate reinforcement and made the product satisfying to use. Consumption skyrocketed and Wrigley became the largest chewing gum company in the world. Toothpaste had a similar trajectory. Manufacturers enjoyed great success when they added flavor like spearmint, peppermint, and cinnamon to their products. These flavors don't improve the effectiveness of toothpaste, they simply create a clean mouth feel and make the experience of brushing your teeth more pleasurable. My wife actually stopped using Sensodyne because she didn't like the aftertaste. She switched to a brand with a stronger mint flavor, which proved to be more satisfying. Conversely, if an experience is not satisfying, we have little reason to repeat it. In my research, I came across the story of a woman who had a narcissistic relative who drove her nuts in an attempt to spend less time with this egomaniac. She acted as dull and as boring as possible whenever he was around. Within a few encounters, he started avoiding her because he found her so uninteresting. Stories like these are evidence of the cardinal rule of behavior change. What is rewarded in repeated is repeated. What is punished is avoided. You learn what to do in the future based on what you were rewarded for doing or punishment for doing. In the past, positive emotions cultivated habit, negative emotions destroy them. The first three laws of behavior change: make it obvious, make it attractive, and make it easy increase the odds that a behavior will be performed this time. The fourth law of behavior change: make it satisfying, increase the odds that a behavior will be repeated next time. It completes the habit loop. But there is a trick. We are not looking for just any type of satisfaction. We are looking for immediate satisfaction. The mismatch between immediate and delayed reward. Imagine you are an animal roaming the plains of Africa, a giraffe, or an elephant, or a lion, or any given day. Most of your decisions have an immediate impact. You always thinking about what to eat or where to sleep and how to avoid a predator. You are constantly focused on the present or the very near future. You live in what scientists call an immediate written environment because your action instantly deliver clear and immediate outcomes. Now switch back to your human self. In modern society, many of the choices you made to today will not benefit you immediately. If you do a good job at work, you will get a paycheck in a few weeks. If you exercise today, perhaps you won't be overweight next year. If you save money now, maybe you will have enough for retirement decades from now. You live in what scientists call a delayed written environment because you can work for years before your actions delivers the intended payoff. The human brains did not evolve for life in a delayed written environment. The earliest remain of modern humans, known as Homo sapiens, are approximately 200,000 years old. These were the first human to have the brain relatively similar to ours. In particular, the neocortex, the newest part of the brain, and the region responsible for higher functions like language was roughly the same size 200,000 years ago as today. You are walking around with the same hardware as your Paleolithic ancestors.